Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission aboard. Permission to come aboard. Permission aboard. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's DA.
Welcome inside the freshest edition of the Permission Granted podcast, everybody. DA with you, of course. We'll have Marash joining us coming up here shortly. There are multiple ways that you can get the Permission Granted podcast. You can always get it on iTunes, the same feed that our show is on. Also, this is always embedded in video form at facebook.com. So go there, like the show page, you'll get it there. And, of course, you'll always get it on YouTube as well. Now, this week, video-wise, is going to be fun because we've actually got some live video to post in there. Our guest is Rachel Bonnetta, and you might recognize her name if you're not a soccer fan because she joined us on the Permission Granted podcast back in February when she first got the job. She was working for Toronto FC and then landed a job at MLS.com. She was working for Kick TV as well, which is kind of like a MLS video arm. Anyway, she got the job at MLSsoccer.com, and she's done some amazing work this year of going to all these different supporter sections, all these different stadiums, and being right in the middle of things, then kind of learning a lot about the culture of the fans. And MLS is awesome in that way. It might be a niche sport for some, and maybe it's off the radar for many of you. But in terms of the culture and the fandom and the intensity, it's awesome. And I know because I worked very closely with the Kansas City Wizards, now Sporting Kansas City, when I was out there. I was the sideline reporter for the New England Revolution for years, 3 seasons, in fact. And so I know the league pretty well, and I really appreciate the league. It's growing, it's up and coming, but you know, it's none of this BS that we get with the NFL and this kind of bloated, revenue, greed-driven, bad behavior-driven league like the NFL. I like it for that reason. It might be under the radar, but it's a lot of good people, and they're pulling the same direction, and the support is really awesome. So I wanted to have Rachel join us here in the studio now that the season's almost over, and we're in MLS playoffs, and MLS Cup is almost here. So she's going to join us here in studio, and if you want to check out the video of this, it'll be available at facebook.com/TheDA Show. And joining us here is one of the stars of MLSsoccer.com. You've seen her on Kick TV. She's made the road trip to just about every stadium in MLS this season. Her first season on the beat, really. Our friend Rachel Bonnetta, who joined us preseason when she first got the job. Rach, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I really liked that introduction.
Well, thank you.
If I could get that before every video and every interview that I do, that'd be awesome.
I could record that and just kind of send it to you.
Hey, what if I put it as like my voicemail or something like that?
This is kind of like a bookend, right? Because we started the season when you first got the job, even before the year began, and now it's like the end of the season. Has this just been a blur for you?
I think, blur is a good way to describe it. I had no idea what I was in for when I first talked to you. And looking back, it's just been a crazy, crazy year. And it's gone by like that, like so quickly.
Well, you traveled so much. I mean, every week you were putting up another video vlog and, MLS video of you going and sitting in the supporter section of every stadium. So I could only imagine every trip was jam-packed, let alone every week was just a different trip. Yeah,
I feel like when you travel that much, you get into a rhythm of it, and there's certain things that you have to do to like stay sane. But it was super busy. I think there's only maybe 2 MLS cities that I didn't go to.
Wow.
I'm sure that will change very quickly, but it was crazy. I had never really traveled across the States before, and it was a cool way to see all the different cities.
Yeah, when we talked to you, you had worked for Toronto FC, and so you were doing everything for them, and you were a Canadian girl, and you were a Canadian by heart and by birth and by trade.
Yeah, still Canadian.
And then they just threw you into New York City.
I know.
And it was like, okay, get adjusted to this, and now travel every week, and now get a kind of a thought of the entire league and do all this stuff. So I could only imagine trying to kind of morph into a new life while doing all this crazy stuff in the middle of the season. Like, you didn't even have an off season.
You know what? But I'm kind of thankful for that because I was so busy that I didn't think about it.
Right.
I was like, when I first got here, I had maybe like 3 months to really adjust. And that was 3 months that I was in New York. And it was difficult. I mean, I was moving away from my friends, my family. I knew a couple of the guys at the office where I'm working now, so that helped a little bit. But it was hard. I mean, I'm moving. The countries are close, but I'm moving to a new country, and there's a lot of different things. New York is insane.
Not really quite America.
It's like a whole other beast. But I'm kind of thankful that I was working so much and that I was so busy because I didn't really think about it. And now that one of my shows is all wrapped up, Heineken's Get Me In There, I'm not traveling as much, so I feel like I'm finally living in New York.
Right.
And it's cool because now I've adjusted, so I can just like enjoy it. I can finally make plans on a Saturday, which I have not been able to do for like 5 months.
Yeah.
So it's really great.
The videos were awesome because you kind of got a sense of every city as well, not just the supporter section.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of stuff around. So when you went out to the West Coast, you did some surfing. And when you were in Utah for Real Salt Lake, you did some hiking in the mountains. That seemed like you really loved that. So you you experienced the city itself and the region, not just the supporter section. So how was that? It
was cool. Like I said, it was the perfect way to see the States because you go in and there's so much more to soccer teams than just what's on the pitch. It's like it's the culture, you know what I mean? And that's what we kind of wanted to explore. And some cities had some really, really cool stories. Like I think that Orlando may have been my favorite episode because
that was your first graffiti experiment?
Yes. P.S. I really love that you've watched, it sounds like every single episode that we did.
Yeah.
But it was cool. We were just like, I had no idea that there was like a graffiti art scene in Orlando.
I didn't either.
You wouldn't really think of that, right? But there is, and it's so much. It's really tied into the culture of the club, and nobody knew that story, and we were able to tell it. So that was really, really interesting to me than just like going. Obviously going to a city and going to a game would be great all in itself, but there was so many other stories to tell, and we really wanted to do that.
By the end of the season, or maybe the middle of the season, did the supporter sections kind of recognize you and be like, oh, you need to come see us. You've got to support us. Oh, you got to sit over here. Like, I've seen this.
I got a little bit of the VIP experience by the end of it because people, I was a Toronto FC fan for 3 years. I worked for, I still am, but I wanted all my friends to come to the game. I'm like, even if you're not a soccer fan, it's like the experience. That's what I love about soccer or football or whatever you want to call it, is it's more than just what's on the pitch. There's just like a love for everybody and it's acceptance, and it's awesome. It's so awesome. So I feel like I used to do that when I worked for Toronto FC. I was always trying to get my family to come out or my friends, and now I was able to do that with all of the teams, and I could see people showing me the same kindness. Like they just wanted... They wanted to show me what's so great about their team because they love them so much. And it was really cool to see. And I met a lot of really great people.
What was the most memorable experience inside the supporter section? You were throwing smoke bombs. You were eating a lot of pretzels, I noticed.
I really like
a lot
pretzels.
Of pretzels. A lot of big pretzels.
Oh gosh, that's a really hard question.
Because everyone seemed like it was totally like a unique experience.
It was, and you know what? By the end of it, when we first were planning out this thing, we were worried that they were all going to feel similar, but they didn't.
Yeah,
and there was always different people, whether it was like different cultures or where they came from or whatever. It was always new stories to tell, and it was always so incredible. So I don't know if I have really one moment that sticks out. I banged a lot of drums. Orlando, I'm going to mention that again. They were really cool.
Did you go to Seattle?
I didn't go to Seattle. That was one of the first episodes that we actually did, is I went to Seattle and traveled with their support to Vancouver for Cascadia Cup. So that was really cool. They're a little wild.
Yeah, they're into it in their own way. We think MLS is great supporters and great intensity and rivalry, but the Cascadia Cup up there is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? I just thought of my favorite moment.
Okay.
Timbers Army.
Okay.
I went there it was rivalry week. It was
cutting some sawing some wood.
What was the score? It was like 4-1 or something ridiculous against Seattle for the Timbers.
Yeah.
And it was just, I remember not being able to get out of one section because everyone's like, they scored like twice when I was there and they're like, you're not moving. You are here for the rest of the game. And I'm like, I am totally okay with that. And just, oh man, I still go back and like watch my vlog from that game because I just like get goosebumps. It was I've never seen so much passion. And it was really, really cool. Those fans are awesome.
What's cool is that your career has also kind of developed and germinated from like your own stuff, right? You began just putting videos on YouTube and editing your own stuff and telling your own stories. And then that kind of took you to Toronto FC. Well, you did some TV stuff before then.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny story. The way I got my job with Toronto FC is I won a contest. I won a contest called The Dream Job.
Amazing.
Amazing. Whatever. It was insane. So I beat out like over 500 people for this job. I had to like make a video, which is like horrendous, and somehow it's still on YouTube, and I hate that. But so I won my job, and then from there I just started putting out videos, and I think similar to my job at MLS, they didn't expect it to be what it was. They hired me on for like a year to host halftime shows. And I was like, well, can I do this? Can I make this video? And da-da-da-da. And then they're like, yeah, sure. And then people started seeing it. And so this is like the advice that people are always like, oh, how do I get your job? Like, how do I become successful in this field? And I'm always just like, just do stuff. Just put it out there and ask questions and just do it. Stop like dreaming about it. And that's exactly what I did. That's what I did with Toronto FC, and that's what I did with MLS.
It's awesome. And you also know a good friend of mine, Jimmy Conrad, who works over there, MLS, and I love the rivalry that you guys got. I've known Jimmy for years now, dating back to our Kansas City days, and I love that you forced him to dress up in drag, right? Underwear.
What did I do that?
I think he was like stripping for you.
The memories are flooding back.
Right.
Unfortunately,
You blocked those out before.
I really haven't thought about that in a really long time, and I don't want to think about it anymore. No, yeah, Jimmy's a really great guy. I actually watched a really old Kick TV video this morning. And I had to turn it off because it was
Why?
Because I was just terrible, so I don't like to watch those videos. But it was kind of cool to see how far we've both come. I mean, he wasn't professionally trained in this area in any means, and he's gotten so much better. And I like to think that I've improved a little bit. But it's cool to see that. Like, I feel like him and I. We were both there from the beginning at Kick TV, and we put so much work into it. Obviously, him more, so he's still there. But it's cool to see what it's become. Yeah, because it was like once upon a time, it was like our little baby. So it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you adjusted to New York City now? Are you used to pizza rats and congestion and subway smells?
Yeah. You know what? I am.
Okay.
And I feel like it's whenever I call my mom on the phone, she is always like, oh my goodness, you sound so much like an American.
What?
Like anytime I go home, my friends, my family,
Your
they're just
accent
like,
or what you complain about?
No, well, maybe a little bit of both. But I feel like I'm a little bit tougher now.
Okay.
Like if walking down the street, if somebody honks at me, I'll just be like, Whereas before I'd be like, oh, sorry.
You'd apologize like a good Canadian would, and now
I
you
might
flip them
a certain finger.
That's
right. But the way that I say out now, I say it like an American, whereas I used to say out. Out.
Yep.
But now I say it like out.
That's solid. Good job by you. Picking up the
but
dialect.
I had to because I was going into the office and people are like, "Oh my God, you're so Canadian." And there's still certain things. There's certain phrases that I say that people are like, "I've never heard that before in my life," and they always laugh at me. So I need to do these things so that I can fit in more. But I'll call my mom on the phone and she's just like, "You need to come home. You need to come home for like a good 2 weeks and readjust because this is ridiculous."
And just do everything Canadian to reclaim your birthright.
Yeah, she's not going to let me come into the house at Christmas. She's going to be like, you're going to stand out in the snow until you start acting like a Canadian.
Now, for the off season, once the season is done, are you going to stay in New York or do you go back to Toronto?
Well, it's crazy, actually. So I work with a nonprofit back in Canada. This is my first year with them, and they're actually sending me to Africa.
No way.
So I'm going to Ghana December 8th.
It's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, no, totally.
No idea.
No, it's gonna be really crazy. I'm really excited. So after that, I get home on the 20th, and I'm gonna go home for probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
What's
Toronto.
the nonprofit?
The nonprofit, it's called Child Fund, and they've got a bunch of sections all over the place, but this one is in Canada. And it's cool. I'm a part of this program called Community Rise, and they help bring water and solar power to certain communities that wouldn't otherwise have that. So we're kind of going to just say, here, this is where your money is going. This is the people that you're helping. And it's going to be really eye-opening. And it's going to be crazy MLS Cup is on the 6th. I fly out on the 8th.
So what you decided to do
is make myself exhausted.
Spend the last 8 months traveling every single minute of every single day. Mm-hmm. And then the moment that you didn't have to travel anymore, you were going to get on a flight and go to Ghana.
Yeah, I like to make my life difficult. But hey, I'm young. I'm 24 years old, and I'm not always going to have these experiences or opportunities.
No, that's a great experience, and it's a great cause.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really, really excited.
All right, good. I mean, working with Jimmy Conrad is definitely a nonprofit in itself. Right?
I hope he hears that.
That's part 1. Let's get to part 2. Are you ready for 10 questions?
I'm ready. I'm a
Okay.
little nervous, but
We're ready.
we're good.
All right, that's the music that cues 10 questions. I feel like you probably were on a Canadian kids sitcom that used this as its theme song or something.
Did you know that I was on a kids TV show?
I didn't know it was a kids show. I thought it was like a Canadian, maybe
It is Canadian.
MTV type thing.
It's Canadian. It's like a Canadian version of Nickelodeon. That's how I describe it.
Okay.
But it was a lot like, hey guys, Rachel here. Today we're going to watch SpongeBob. This is SpongeBob's favorite food to eat, or something ridiculous like that. It was kind of crazy.
I think you told us that the last time you jumped on it.
Yeah, it was funny. My best friend actually still works for the channel, and he's always posting these videos, and I'm like, thank God I don't have to do
Please
that.
delete these now. All right, question number 1 with Rachel Bonnetta. Walking around, true or false? Walking around with 2 penguins on Halloween made you wish that you were a penguin as well.
False. Because
Incorrect. No, we
Wait.
think true. You wanted to be a penguin.
hold on. Yeah, sure, that would have been great, but I think I made a pretty bomb Laura Croft.
Yes, Tomb Raider's Lara Croft was your Halloween.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a 2 minutes before I went out the door decision.
Oh, then that's very solid. But
There
you
you
got to
go.
do better prep work then.
Wait, I didn't know these answers could be right or wrong.
Yes, we decide.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Number 2, true or false? This summer you drank way more Heineken than you thought you would in your entire lifetime.
True.
Correct.
Yeah, true. That's
Because
true.
your whole series was sponsored by Heineken.
It's delicious though, so I wasn't mad.
Everywhere you went was a cooler at Heineken.
Yeah, well, hey,
Not a bad gig.
we needed a sponsor for the show.
Not a bad gig. Number 3, true or false? You spent at least 4 hours one day perfecting Dub Smash.
Oh, yes.
That's true. Yes. You put up so many.
I mean, I want to say false because I want everyone to think that I'm a one-take wonder and just nail it the first time, but I have so many videos of Dub Smashes on my phone. It's ridiculous.
Number 4. When you did the NYCFC Red Bull split screen video, there were more than 5 people who actually thought you had an identical twin.
True.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
People must have been really freaked out about
I mean,
that, right?
I don't understand how. Like, what do you think? This is the very first time I'm going to post about my identical twin is for a New York video.
And she happened to be like an actress and like in front of the camera.
Yeah, just like it's ridiculous.
Number 5, true or false? You practiced your Jose Batista bat flip in the mirror.
Oh, true. Who didn't?
You're doing very good at this.
Yeah.
We knew though that.
It seems like you guys know me pretty well.
So, how does the bat flip go? Like you have to kind of flex and then flip it?
You do. Like you kind of watch where it goes, and you're like, that's right.
Yeah.
And then you flip the bat, and you're like, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah, it's
but
on.
you got to do the like, hell yeah look. Like, yeah, I did that. That's
You're a
key.
huge Jays fan, so
Yes.
if our listeners didn't know. Number 6, you didn't really know what brand ambassador meant when you were with Toronto FC.
True.
Correct. What is the definition of that?
I don't know. I still don't know. You represent the brand. I don't know.
Number 7, you guys did the MLS mascot rankings. That was actually the most controversial piece you did the entire season. True or false?
True.
Yeah, true.
And you know what? It's funny because every single stadium that I went to or every game that I went to, the mascot would always be there and be like, I mean, you can't see what I'm doing right now, but it's like a lot.
It's a
I
lot
would
of
imagine
hands.
he's saying like, come on, man. Why am I not number 1? But it's cool. And I feel like they're kind of bribing me now. Like
really?
when I went to FC Dallas, Tex Hooper kept on giving me free stuff. He kept on like giving me a scarf and like buttering me up. I'm like, Tex, this is not gonna help your cause, but the video's already out.
This is not an annual ranking.
The mascot ranking has already been done.
It has been done. Yeah. Number 8, your love-hate relationship with Drake is bordering more on hate.
False.
That's incorrect. We believe it's
Really?
true. We believe it's true
I
because
love Drake.
it's sheer love, no hate?
Yeah. No, I can see why people don't like him. I see that. But there's nothing better. I was in Toronto last weekend, and there is nothing better than being out and a song comes on and everyone knows it because, I mean, Drake in Toronto is just like crazy. So I mean,
He's
being
the king.
from Toronto, being Canadian, I gotta say I love him.
Okay. Number 9, the key to good poutine is actually the cheese curds, not the gravy.
True.
We say false. We think
For
it's
real?
we think it's actually.
See, I'm a vegetarian, so I can't have regular gravy.
Oh.
So maybe it is the gravy that's important.
Yeah, we were going to say the gravy is the most important part because the cheese curds, a lot of people probably just...
I love cheese, though.
You do?
Yeah. Cheese makes a good poutine.
Yeah.
I mean, both. It's equal.
Okay.
I think it's equal.
Okay.
So you guys are wrong.
Oh, that's fair. And number 10, one of the only reasons you actually took this job was because there were Timmy Hortons here in New York City.
Ugh, that is false.
What?
It's false because the Tim Hortons here is not a true Tim Hortons.
Is that right? Aren't there multiple Tim Hortons here?
There's I think 2 or 3, and I went there maybe once, and I was like, this is a disgrace.
Why?
This is a disgrace. It's gross. You need a Canadian to make Tim Hortons. You need Canadians making the Timbits, making the coffee. Everything else is just fake. It's faux.
Faux Timmy Ho.
Faux Timmy Ho. That's amazing.
Rachel Bonnetta joining us. So I think our listeners can catch you at Rachel Bonnetta on every platform, right? That's your
every
username
platform.
on everything.
Yeah, you got to keep it the same or else it's just confusing.
Yeah, consistency.
That's my motto.
So that is Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr and
I don't have Tumblr.
Snapchat.
I don't have Tumblr, and Snapchat is Rachel Bonnetta. 2 O's, 2 N's, 2 T's.
What?
Because somebody stole Rachel Bonnetta, and I am still trying to hunt them down. Why do you need... What are you sending? And when my friends add me on Snapchat, they're like, why aren't you answering? And I'm like, because you probably have the fake Rachel. And I don't know what you're sending, but you should be aware that it might surface.
Seriously.
But yeah, Rachel Bonnetta.
Okay. And I do feel a little bad because the first time we had you on, I asked you, who was that crazy kid in your avatar on Twitter? And you're like, that's me. I was like,
I still haven't changed it.
Oh,
still crazy kid is there. I feel like that might be my Twitter avatar for life.
really short haircut,
That's me.
a tooth missing, or maybe just a gap in your tooth.
Probably more than one tooth missing.
Tooth missing, and
Yeah.
you're kind of rocking out like a devil child.
I have 3 older brothers.
Yeah.
I feel like as soon as I meet somebody and they get to know me a little bit and I say like, oh yeah, I have 3 older brothers, they're like, that makes so much sense.
There it is.
Like, wait, what are you trying to say there? What does that mean? Yeah, my mom, she probably just took us all to the same barber and she's like, 4 of the same, please.
Do we get a
Save
family
some money.
pack?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I think it was just easier for her to dress me like a dude. Because she'd already done it 3 times in a row.
Rachel, we've really enjoyed your work for MLSsoccer.com, right? That's the easiest way for everybody to find your stuff.
Yep. Or the MLS YouTube channel. I'm all over that too.
Oh, yes. That's a good point. MLS YouTube channel. Thanks so much for coming on down and doing this in person this time around.
Thank you for having me.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Keep up the awesome work and enjoy MLS Cup.
Thanks.
And we'll talk to you in Ghana.
Woohoo.
All right, thanks so much for Rachel Bonnetta for joining us here on the program. And Miraz joins me now. Miraz, how we doing?
I'm doing tremendous. How are you?
I'm doing okay. A couple of things to get to. Number one, I've noticed that when you've introduced the side B of the Permission Granted podcast, and it should be noted that I listen to every single one from beginning to end. So
That's good.
I don't just listen. I know there's a lot of hosts that might just listen to the part that they tape, or not even listen at all, tape it, and then that's it.
So you're always listening to me and Joe ham-hock our way through a side B.
Every single one, whether my ears bleed or not. And I've noticed that over the last, I would say, 2 months, you've introduced the side B in different creative ways.
Yeah, I'm trying for a little flair.
Sometimes you're trying to be a little comic-y. Sometimes you're doing a little sing-songy with your voice. Then last week you sang Adele.
Yeah,
So
which
is
was
this-
brutal.
Is this a conscious effort that you're making to do this?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things I think part of the Permission Granted podcast is having fun. So I don't want to sound stale or do anything. So I'm going to mix and match a little bit until maybe I really find a route I want to go. That being said, I would say my Adele was probably the worst way to start a Permission Granted podcast to date.
I'm not really even going to grade them out because what I think is the Permission Granted podcast is also a place for creativity.
Right.
Okay, this is where we experiment with stuff. This is why we have a lot of guests that would never make the air.
Right.
Because
it's different.
The bosses would say no.
No, exactly.
So I like it. I always need a forum that is out of the purview of the bosses. I always need that. So I'm all for experimentation. I'm just wondering if this is something that you're going into every week going, let me try this. Let me try this. I'm going to sing Adele this week.
I would say it's not something I think about like a day before.
Okay.
I think of what we're going to talk about, and then I usually turn the mic on, and then it's almost like kind of instantaneous. Like,
Okay.
what kind of mood am I in is how I'm going to begin with the side B.
We're almost into the holidays here, and I don't know who's going to be filling in for me when I fill in for Gottlieb.
Right.
Or
also experimental, it looks like.
Yes,
as far
that's
as the
probably
roster
true.
goes.
Yeah. So when I fill in for Gottlieb or I'm off for the holidays, there's always the sub-in hosts. And get some clamoring for you to fill in.
I would love that to be an opportunity.
Is that anywhere close to happening?
I would say that I'm getting positive feedback from bosses. As far as in the immediate future, I would say no.
Okay.
As far as it being potential a year from now, I think there's some potential.
So holidays 2016, potentially.
I think there's actually some potential there.
Okay.
I believe that more than I would have believed it a year ago at this time, where
right.
I maybe was shooting for these holidays.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So there is hope there.
There's at least hope, and without hope, you have nothing.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to think that maybe a year from now you could be filling in.
Be great. I think the listeners are buying. I think it would keep some show continuity together as well.
I'd like it. So we've had Simo fill in. Always a funny guy. Is Jay Berman going to get some of these? Because Berman just did an overnight, right?
Yeah, it seems like, because obviously Amy is going to be taking some days off. That Berman is like the exclusive, like, nobody else is doing those shifts, it seems like, but Berman.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been the real...
That's an upset, right? Because he didn't think he was going to be filling in for hosting jobs anymore.
No, but it seems like every after-hours shift that's been off, they've gone to the well, but to nobody else but Jay Berman.
Oh, that's good.
So Berman's been like the regular pinch hitter on that show.
Okay, good. So
yeah,
okay.
when everybody else is off, Amy will be off as well, and it seems like that's Berman's slot.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So that brings us to Thanksgiving, and you'll be off Thursday, Friday. I'll be off Thursday, Friday.
Yes. Need a couple days.
You'll need a couple days to digest.
Oh, yeah. Friday mornings can be, that's one of those mornings I wake up walking crooked, you know?
Because of how much you ate or how much you drank?
How much I ate. I'm not a big drinker on Thanksgiving.
That's hard because you got no room in the belly.
That's the thing. If I'm drinking beers, then it's going to ruin what Thanksgiving's about, which is not about family or anything. It's about eating.
Well, what I also notice is, I've talked about this before. My family, half Italian, so we have the traditional. You got a wing in there. You got a little dark meat coming up.
I had chicken cutlets a little while ago.
I got the half Italian, half traditional. So I'll do the turkey and the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, and all that jazz. And then we'll do the lasagna and pasta and sausage and meatballs and all that stuff. So we'll eat so much that I will drink. I'll try to drink beers, and I won't get drunk.
Right, because there's so much food in your belly.
Now, I don't want to act as though I only drink to get drunk.
Right.
But if I'm going to drink 4 or 5 beers, and all it is going to do is make my stomach expand more because I got so much solid system in there.
Then what's the point?
What's the point? It's not even refreshing anymore.
I agree.
A cold beer is not refreshing when there's no room to fit.
I might have like a glass of wine when I first show up to whatever Thanksgiving.
Helps the digestion.
That's it, though. After that, I'm on the Poland Springs. I'm telling you, because I'm pouring gravy down my throat after that. That's it. Because I'm going to start eating prosciutto and provolone. Next thing I know, I'm sitting there basically doing snow angels and stovetop stuffing, and away we go.
One other food note is that Jolt and Joe DeLuisio's mom has jarred the sauce, and he's finally given us a pair of jars.
Right.
You got a jar, I got a jar. I thought it was some of the best sauce I've ever had. It's
tremendous. It was delicious. I was fortunate to eat it Sunday. I did like a Sunday Italiano dinner my wife put together. And she usually makes her sauce from scratch, but uses like the Red Pack paste or whatever, then adds whatever. So we did the fresh Joe sauce. It was so fresh, perfectly sweet, but not overly sweet.
Yes.
Everything about it was delicious and fresh to the core. I loved it. The meatballs were tremendous in it.
I know. I made some sauce for my girlfriend and I. We did a little lobster ravioli with it. I had homemade lobster ravioli that I was waiting for a good sauce to put over. And, she's like, are they selling this? And I was like, no, you can only get it via being in the DeLuisio Mafia.
Which is right, being in the Mafia, which is crazy when you think about all these farmers markets and stuff like that.
It's that good.
They could push that. There's absolutely they
Mama
could.
DeLuisio's.
Mama DeLuisio's, yes.
Right?
May really give Prego a run for their money.
Are you going to talk to Joe D on this podcast?
No, actually, we're going to go James Ward. Joe D's been on the last couple podcasts. I do want to talk to Joe D because he just got back from Ohio State.
Oh, my God.
So I'm going to have to delay that another week. The only reason I'm going to, well, not the only reason. James, to be fair, hasn't been on the Permission Granted podcast the last month.
Right.
But with this being a short week, I want to get out our Up the Gut picks and our awards winners picks. Both were winners this weekend because we're not going to be in Friday to make those picks.
I like the idea that it's a short week, almost like we're like the NFL going into Thanksgiving week.
Right, exactly.
Short work week here.
We got to fit everything we can in, yes.
Yeah, Joe D just went to Columbus, Ohio to be with his boys for the Ohio State-Michigan State game. Sounds like it was a blur for him.
Yeah, and I have a couple not-for-air pictures that were sent to me.
Oh, my.
Joe had a good weekend.
Oh my.
Joe had a good weekend.
Oh, my. Better weekend than the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and like we're sitting here bragging about Joe's mom's sauce. He had a better weekend than us eating his mom's sauce. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more off air. That's a tease.
Well, from what it sounds like, I didn't get any of the naughtiness. But what it sounds, he went to visit his buddies. They all went. I think 9 of them went.
Yeah.
I think all the guys crashed in a sorority house.
Yeah.
They went to the game on Saturday. They, I'm sure, partied their face off, and it looked like Jolton Joe did very well for himself in the lady department.
He did very well for himself. Very well for himself. And Joe, late at night, I'm sure he's going to tell you this, bumped into Ezekiel Elliott, had no idea who he was.
No way.
Walking back from the same party. Joe had too much to drink and kind of swayed his body into a ginormous person, and somebody grabbed him and goes, dude, you just really nailed Ezekiel Elliott.
After Elliott had said, I'm never coming back.
Right after that happened, he's bumping into Jolton Joe swerving on the sidewalk. So that's a little taste of what happened with Joe's weekend.
Yeah, that's his weekend in Columbus. He's 23?
Yes.
Jolton Joe? So Jolton Joe is a year or two removed from college.
And now he wants to be a year or two back in college.
I was going to say, that sounds like an amazing trip. I often try to take, almost every year we do an SEC football weekend. But what he's experiencing or what he just did is nowhere close to what me and my guys do because, you know, we stay in the hotel.
Right.
We go into for the game. We try to tailgate a little bit.
He was really in the heart of what it's about.
He was a student again.
Right. Yes, that's right. He celebrated it like a student and it really makes me pine for not commuting to SUNY Old Westbury.
Yeah, and I would have to imagine would worry any of our listeners that might have sons or daughters in college right now going, that's what college is all about.
I've already made up my mind. If I do have a daughter, she's not going to Ohio State. She's not going anywhere, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
that's it.
She's commuting from
community college. You get a 2-year degree. You're working as a bank teller. That's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
That's your life. I've carved it out for you.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're giving your kids so many options, Mraz.
That's it. Oh, the options that these kids are, they might have great jobs coming out of Ohio State. I don't want them anywhere near that situation.
Would you let your son?
Yeah, I let my son.
Oh!
It's a little bit of a double standard. He should experience some fun.
A little bit of a double standard?
You protect some, you let others live.
Wow. I don't think your daughter, she's going to rebel. Would Danielle feel the same way?
No. Danielle would be all about letting them experience it. But I got to lay the hammer down as a father. I mean, we're still hopefully 30 years away from me worrying about this, but we'll see.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall during that conversation. Yep. Jimmy, you will get to go to college. You can choose your college. And Stacy, you'll be going down the road to the community college and living here. And that's
exactly.
The end of it.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. You'll be a cashier at Modell's. That's your life because you're not going to experience that.
We went from bank teller to sporting goods store.
Well, Daddy needs some jersey discounts.
Either way, right? Either way.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't wait to talk to Joe D. I'm going to try to get some of these stories on the air as well.
Oh, I think that would be a plus. But, you know, pre-scan them beforehand because not every story is suitable for air.
Bad girls, Damon.
Yes, bad girls.
Bad girls, Damon. Okay, well, we've got James Ward for Ward's Winners coming up here next on the Permission Granted podcast. If you haven't heard me remind you, check out both the Up the Gut picks and Ward's Winners blogs as Mraz and James Ward break down the NFL and college football weekends respectively on their blogs by going to daoncbs.com, and then the right-hand toolbar, you'll see the producers' blogs there. So click them there and check out the picks and check out the football food of the week from Mraz and all that goodness. This is the Permission Granted podcast, and Side B is coming up right now.
All right, welcome into Side B of the Permission Granted podcast, a Thanksgiving edition of the Permission Granted podcast. And with that, as discussed previously, we will bring in James Ward, associate producer of the DA Show. Jimmy, how you doing?
Mr. Sean Morash, how are you?
I am tremendous. And the reason we're bringing James in here is because since we will not be in Thursday and Friday, and the DA show will be anchored on Thanksgiving and Black Friday by JJ, we're going to hammer out our Up the Gut and our Ward's Winners picks right here in the Permission Granted podcast.
You could say that when I had a bad record, but I was 3-1 last week. I'm 13-6 in the last 5 weeks, and 21-16 overall. And I believe that's better than your record on the season. Am I right?
I am 20-14, so you're 5 games over. I'm 6 games over. So Thanksgiving week will prove to be a big swing week between me and you.
Yes, very, very, very big week for both of us.
All right, well, Ward, let's kick it off with the Ward's Winners. What do you got cooking?
All right, you can't pick college football picks on Thanksgiving week without picking a game on Thanksgiving Day. I know we both think of football on Thanksgiving as being mostly NFL, but there's a pretty good game on Thanksgiving between 2 college football teams. Texas Tech, Texas. Texas Tech is getting 1.5 points. Game is in Austin, but if you look at the Longhorns, team heading in a bad direction. Charlie Strong rumors. He's not openly denying the Miami job. I think that's a bad thing. Longhorns are 3-4 in the Big 12, but bad loss to Iowa State and West Virginia in the last 2 weeks. Texas is in no position to be favored over Tech. The Texas Tech offense is very explosive, led by quarterback Pat Mahomes. Mahomes, another quarterback playing in the state of Texas that wasn't recruited to play by Texas to play quarterback. So give me the Texas Tech Red Raiders plus 1.5 against UT in Austin on Thanksgiving Day.
I like it. A little turkey and a little pick. Something for Ward to chew on both literally and figuratively. What's game number 2?
Game number 2, rivalry game, which I don't really like picking, but if you look at the schedule for this week in football, it's a lot of rivalry games. It's rivalry weekend, so you kind of got to go for one of those games. Florida State at Florida. Florida State is a 2-point favorite, and again, if you watch Florida play, they can't score. Florida almost lost to Florida Atlantic last week. Their offense is terrible. They've already clinched the SEC East, but they'll be at least a 2-touchdown underdog to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Quarterback Treon Harris isn't Will Grier. And on the flip side of that, the FSU offense actually improved under Sean McGuire once Everett Golson took a seat. Florida run defense is good, but Florida State's Dalvin Cook rushed for almost 200 yards against Clemson earlier in the season. And Florida State only has 2 losses on the season. One of them to the top team, Clemson, and the other to Georgia Tech, which is on a last-second field goal. I think Florida State's going to win this game probably by about a touchdown. The line's only 2, so take Florida State to cover that 2 points.
Blame it on McElwain's haircut.
It's funny because McElwain's had a good year so far in Florida, but once Will Grier went down, the team they almost lost to Florida Atlantic last week. If you have an SEC East champion struggling against an FCS team, that's not in a position you want to be.
No way, Jose. Game number 3, Ward.
Game number 3, and it's a good game. You made fun of me last week. I picked Navy Tulsa. Hey, Navy covered easily. I've been looking for matchups like that. This is not a game I would like to pick, but I really like the line. Notre Dame at Stanford. Stanford is 3.5-point favorites in the game. You look at Notre Dame, another weekend with injuries. CJ Prosise doubtful to play with an ankle injury, and without Prosise, the offense put up a lot of yards last week against BC, but they struggled to score points. 5 turnovers. No Prosise means a lot more on Deshaun Kaiser. He's going to turn the ball over against the Stanford defense. The Stanford defense is pretty good. Stanford offense, you look at it, Christian McCaffrey is actually poised to break Barry Sanders' all-time single-season record for all-purpose yards. He has 28,000 yards on the season. Only one other player in FBS has over 2,000. If you look at what Christian McCaffrey's done so far this year for the Cardinals, he's going to lead them over this Notre Dame team, and I expect Stanford to win by about a touchdown.
That'd be a huge win for the Pac-12, and I tell you, Oklahoma would love if Notre Dame went down this weekend.
Yeah, and how hard is it to root against the Irish? I mean, they're a team that's just perennial in the conversation, but they haven't done anything. They struggle to put away bad teams. So why are they going to put away a good team? Stanford is legitimately the best team in the Pac-12, and they still have an outside chance to make the playoffs. I don't see it happening, but they got to beat Notre Dame in order for that chance to still be there.
All right, so there you go for Ward's winners this week. Loves Texas Tech, Florida State, and Stanford. Now, Jimmy,
yes,
it's time to go to the league where they play for pay. My NFL picks. My NFL picks 20-14 on the year, 2-1 last week after 3 straight rough weeks. I'm back on track. Like you, I don't have a chance to pick the Thursday night games normally because I am picking games on Friday. So, with this chance, I'm going to take a Thanksgiving game like you did. I will go to the Thanksgiving night game and take the Packers laying 9 at home versus the Bears. Now, the Packers finally got right versus the Vikings. Looked like they kind of worked out their kinks. The reason I love this game, A, Green Bay's home. Chicago, not that good, traveling on a short week. B, everything going on in Green Bay. It's going to be a good feeling with Brett Favre returning back. There's going to be a lot of energy in that building. It's going to be like a playoff atmosphere. And I think Aaron Rodgers knows with Brett Favre getting honored, all eyes are on him to put on a big show with the whole country watching on Thanksgiving. And I think he does. You're asking them to win by 10 to cover here, and I think they do that easy. I love the Packers laying 9 at home for Chicago on Thanksgiving night.
And you look at the short turnaround that usually benefits the home team. I think the Packers probably have a lot more talent than the Bears. So I think 9 might be a little high, but I'll back you on that pick.
Right. Number 2, Ward. I'm going back to, a team I haven't picked in about 5 weeks. My team. The New York Giants laying 2.5 points in Washington. Washington has won 4 straight home games. Their only home loss of the year was in the opener versus Miami. Last week they were exposed, though, by Carolina, and Kirk Cousins went back to looking like Kirk Cousins. And they imploded after the game was tied at 14. The Giants are coming off their bye week, get tight end Larry Donnell back and cornerback Prince Amukamara. This will be the first time they get their best cover guy in Prince Amukamara and their best pass rusher in Jason Pierre-Paul together on the field at the same time this season. This is a huge divisional game. Depending on what happens on Thanksgiving with the Eagles and the Cowboys, the Giants, with a win versus the Redskins, could actually grab a 2-game lead in the NFC East with 5 games to play. Them well-rested, getting some healthy bodies back. I think they take care of business. Plus, they've won 5 straight versus the Redskins. You only got to win by a field goal to cover. Give me the G-Men on the road laying 2.5.
I like that pick. DA and I actually had a call Sunday morning that predicted a Redskins upset against the Panthers because Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins has been playing Tom Brady-esque.
Oh, please.
Needless to say, we laughed at him, but I think the Panthers definitely exposed the Redskins, and I think the Giants can do the same on Sunday. So I like that pick, too.
That's scary. When you're agreeing with my picks, that's scary. My third and final pick.
Usually run the other way when you pick NFL games, but I'm backing you 2 for 2.
Right. My third and final pick, I'm going to pick a team I have not picked all year, a team that I never believed in August and I haven't believed in all year, but right now I am believing in them. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs laying 4.5 against the Bills. The Chiefs are rolling right now. It's amazing that they're doing this without Jamal Charles. You're going to have the Bills coming off that Monday night disappointment in New England. Short week for them. And you know what? The Bills have just been so poorly coached lately. Tyrod Taylor does not look healthy. The Bills just use timeouts. Like Rex Ryan eats timeouts like he eats Skittles. They're dysfunctional. They're not right for a team that should have that much talent on defense. And Kansas City's just got a magic carpet ride riding right now. And that may cool off eventually. I just don't think it cools off here. You're asking me to win by 5. I think the Chiefs can win this game by a touchdown. I'm going to take them laying the 4.5 versus Buffalo on Sunday.
I like it. And again, if you look at the Bills quarterback situation, if Tyrod Taylor doesn't play, and I know he hurt his shoulder last night, if he doesn't play, you got E.J. Manuel, and the line probably goes up 5, 6, 7 points because E.J. Manuel stinks.
Right, so, exactly. So make note, though, guys, that when you're listening to this, we're making these picks on Tuesday because of the holiday weekend. I like the Chiefs laying the 4.5 at the moment.
Yeah, and the Chiefs are one of the hottest teams in football. They dismantled the Chargers last week in San Diego, and I actually think the Chargers might be a better team than the Bills. So, I like all 3 of your picks. That's scary.
Which is scary. And I'll give you one little nugget. I'll give you the details of this on my Twitter at MrazCBS. But take your Thanksgiving leftovers, mix them up. You can make fried Thanksgiving leftover balls as your football food of the week. I know that sounds interesting, so please.
Leftover balls.
It's great, man. It's great. Just like you would make the macaroni and cheese balls, the buffalo chicken balls. Thanksgiving leftover balls. It may sound gross. It's delicious, and it's a perfect way to get rid of your leftovers. You can check them out. Give me the details. Follow me on Twitter. Tweet at me at MrazCBS. I'll give you all the deets. Ward, you can follow him at James Ward CBS. And Jimmy, those are our picks for this week.
Yep. Good luck to you as I attempt to take over the league.
I wouldn't bank on that. Well, be good. Be good to one another. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for listening.